You got a story the world needs to hear, a spark inside that's crystal clear. No more hiding in the digital crowd. It's time to stand up, speak out loud. Every dream starts with a single sound. Your message matters, let it resound. The spotlight's waiting, the mic is yours. Step into the moment, open the doors. Your voice, your vision, your stage. Turn the page, ignite the rage. From whispers to waves, let your truth engage. Your voice, your vision, your stage.
Your voice, your vision, your stage. This is the storytelling journey, and we are back once again for another episode in what is the dog days of summer. I think we hit 120 yesterday, if not just close to it, and that's something we're not used to. It is hot, but in just a few weeks we're going to be complaining like, oh man, I miss the heat. So, how you doing, Jay?
Well, so, speaking of dog days of summer, if you hear children screaming, I promise they're okay. They're just loud. it's it, there. I've got grandkids visiting for the summer, so it's been a little hectic in the Pasqua household.
Yeah, I have both my nieces and nephew downstairs, and I was telling Jay I wouldn't be surprised if one of them builds the courage to storm in and be part of the show. And if they decide to make a guest appearance, we'll introduce them and we'll make them part of the experience. But today, listen, it might be late, but it's never too late to have the conversation around today's subject. June is National Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we went the entire month of June not really talking much about it. In fact, I didn't hear much about it until I was speaking on a panel this Sunday. And one of my friends who was hosting a live stream brought it up and brought the discussion. And I instantly felt the need to reach out to you, Jay, and say, hey, we missed the boat here. Here's an opportunity to have people join us, share their story, be part of the conversation, because this affects so many of us. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I missed the boat, but hey, you live and learn. You get back in your lane, and we now have carved an opportunity, and we'll revisit it again in the month of June, so that we can get the awareness during the period of time where it's all hyped up and everyone's talking about it. Although reality is this is something we should be talking about year round and not something you put up. This isn't a hallmark moment. Everything, whether it's men's health, mental health, women's mental health in general, should not be a hallmark moment. It should be something that we look after year round. Now, let's take a moment and welcome some of our listeners. We have Linda and Leslie who have joined us. Thank you, ladies, for being part of the conversation. Today, I put the QR code and we'll keep it up for anyone who wants to join the conversation. This isn't exclusively open to men only. Women also have men in their lives who may be impacted, or they may be supporters of men who are struggling with mental health. So welcome either of you to join and be part of the conversation. And as people come along, we'll extend the invitation. Jay, you were so quick to jump on this opportunity. Tell me, is there a story? Is there an underlining reason why it took you no time to say, let's do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I tell the story about the tornado, a lot, and because it was a very pivotal moment in my life, and it was something that was impactful, right? Not just to me, but to my entire family. And, you know, an event like that, it does something to your mental health. And, you know, I'll be very honest with you. I was a little naive back then. And that was in 2011. Okay. So that's not too far in the past. That's 15 years ago. And there I was, a grown man, and I thought PTSD, right, post traumatic stress disorder, was something that only soldiers experienced. I could not wrap my mind around a weather event causing PTSD to quote unquote civilians. And and so it really was eye opening for me, and something that I had to wrestle with, right? And if you don't know the story, I survived a tornado, and the way in which I found out I had PTSD was I went to look for help, right? And I wasn't looking for, you know, psychological or, you know, psychiatric help, to be honest. I was looking for financial help, resources, things that could help me get back up on my feet, figure out a way to help me get from losing a house to finding, you know, a place to stay and having clothes on my back, literally, right? Other than the ones I was wearing. And so going through that, I went there, I went to this huge tent, and there were all these providers providing help. And one of them, now this was it was, I think it was, gosh, maybe it was, well, it was one of the providers that were providing resources to people who needed help. And they were going over some questions with me. And there on the table was a list. Now I think it numbered into 100. A list that said how to tell if your child is suffering from PTSD as a result of the storm. And I went down the first row of numbers, just the first row, and each one described me. And I was in shock, and I was nearly in tears, literally, because I didn't know. I really didn't know. And it hit me. And part of it was the place where we went was the town that we went to seek help. People were saying, once you get up on top of the hill into the town, just beware. And I said, why? He said, there are no trees. What's left are what looks like huge toothpicks sticking up out of the ground. And I didn't think anything of it. But as soon as I topped that hill, just like they said, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, wow. And the reason it hit me was the tornado that basically destroyed my home was one of the tornadoes that did that damage. So I say all that to say this. We may not know that we are experiencing things that are impacting our mental health, right? We have to be mindful of it and be aware. Now, how do you do that when you're not? When you're not? If something feels off, if something doesn't sit well with you, and it's been kind of on your mind repeatedly, that's kind of one of the signs, right? It's like something I'm not, it doesn't feel right. I'm always on edge. I'm doing things that's not normal, right? So some of
Right.
those things like that. So, but and I talked to other professionals since then, and they've said sometimes they don't even present, right? So that means it we don't see it outwardly, even to ourselves. So it's just a feeling, and so connecting the mind with that feeling, it's going to have to take a little bit of work on our part. So
It,
I'll
it's
stop
gonna
there.
it's gonna take a lot of work, especially for individuals. And I'll be the first to put my hand up. Culturally, we are raised not to show emotions when we're vulnerable. We're taught and raised to be men and suck it up. We're taught to be uh, to persevere and get through it and push through it. And health stops at physical health, fitness, nutrition in some cases for some cultures. Others, that may have different dietary needs, but health is always associated with um, physical, the physical attributes, and seldomly is it about the emotional, the psychological, and the mental components, because we're taught to erase that from our minds, not let it be part of who we are, and to get past it. And that's part of the struggle. Whether it's you know the culture, whether it is just even modern culture, people who are open to the idea still feel reluctant to have the conversation because there's this stigma that might come with it, and people will start judging. I know this because I too. Hey, you and I shared the tornado experience, but I went through separation, and that took a toll on my mental health because I had to be a strong father, raise a child whose mother was suffering from addiction and mental health disorders of her own. I had to keep things together despite what others were seeing, and people were reaching out, is everything okay? And I was just bottling it up inside. It's like, yeah, everything's fine, because that's how I was programmed, that's how I was taught. You keep your house in order, don't let people see what's behind closed doors. But sometimes that's a necessity. You have to be able to talk. Communication is, I think, three three quarters of what's really necessary is open to speak and open to listen when others are seeing what you can't see and want to help you. Being able to lower those barriers and let those people in and take those signs and understand that they're not symptoms, they're just simply indication that, hey, perhaps it's time to pause and not do what I did, which was check myself at the door when I went into the office and try my best to not let these two entities cross paths. I had this home life that was just ugly, but I couldn't let it affect my work. I couldn't let it affect the people who reported it to me, to the organization that I represented. And then there was that thought, hey, there's EAP programs that I could reach out to, but what am I going to be looked at? How are people going to judge me? How is this going to impact me on my next promotion? I will be judged, I'll be chastised. And you end up not reaching out for help because of elements and circumstances that you should never let rent space in your head, but we do. Check the comments here.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Uh, gosh.
Let's take a moment to welcome
Sure.
Bill and Lisa. The QR code. If you're reaching out or listening from a mobile device, it's probably very difficult to scan the QR code. If you want to join the conversation, be part of the conversation, just send me a DM across one of the social networks, and I'll drop the studio link, and you can join us. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So, you mentioned something that I think is really important. I think there's a lot of things that can be negative, um, that could impact your mental health as a man, especially in this day and age, right? So you and I were both part of a diaspora, right? We're not. This is not our ancestral home. I'm living in Alabama, and you're in Canada, and really, there the the culture was, for me, um, it can be very one-sided, right? That's well, I'll use a Hollywood stereotype, the strong silent type, right? By the fact that you're not showing emotion, that you're stoic, that, hey, you can handle stuff. So storms, you know, super typhoons, those things are nothing, right? My elders survived World War II in concentration camps. And so living up to that, right? Like, what am I supposed to be complaining about? Shut up. World War II concentration camps, beheadings, right? Planes ready to bomb you every other second. What are you complaining about, Jay? Right? Oh, you don't have enough milk for your cereal? Boo-hoo.
Or you don't know how good you have it.
Right, you don't know how good you have it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's the stuff. That's the stuff you heard growing up, and I think not just culturally, but at the era, right? The time. I watch TikToks with a whole bunch of Gen Xers, right? Who who defend being Gen X and defend the right to to be who they are and to have experienced what we experienced, right? We were just talking about this the other night. Um, you know, there were no safety features when we were growing up. Safety features, man. We were sitting in the back of pickup trucks going somewhere. Safety features. You can't do that today, though.
No.
So, yeah.
True story. I used to sit when Dad used to go to the beer store. He'd put the case of beer in the back seat, and I would sit on the case so that I had a better view over the dashboard, and I could see what he could see. There were no rules, right?
No, not at all, man. Seatbelt, right? You put on your seatbelt as a choice, right? Today, if you don't do it, your car won't shut up. It'll just keep on binging, or it'll keep telling you to put on your seatbelt. Back then, there was no binging. It was like click or no click. I don't, whatever. So the era, the time, the circumstances, all of those things play into mental health, especially us, right? Of that generation. We were meant to be, we're going to go out and enjoy our time out. We're not going to buy sodas or wait for DoorDash to bring a soda. We're going to drink right from the hose. Forget all that soda stuff. Yeah, we're not even supposed to be drinking sodas anyway. Mom and Dad will kill us. So yeah, it was. I'm saying it this way, but it was a different time, right? But as we've grown older, more and more things and experiences and education around mental health have come out, And for men especially, uh, there's a lot of stuff that I saw my grandfather and my dad repress and suppress because of the cultural norms of their era, right? And so when you see that, it's kind of handed down like a, you know, that baseball glove for some folks, the or that one nice shiny, you know, bauble of or whatever, um, handed down from generation to generation. And mental health or the lack thereof is also one of those things. And in faith, it's you've heard the phrase sins of the father, right? And so hearing that handed down from generation to generation, right? Those sins, quote unquote sins, those are the things that we deal with as a family, like legacy, what's being brought down to me. And but now science is proving that even in our genetics, this is so strange, but even in our genetics, it's now being proven that a trait can be handed down generation to generation. And I'll hand it back over to you, but this is something so important to me. In mice, they did an experiment, right? And people out there, you've heard about this or read about this experiment. So they they had these monkeys, right, um, living amongst each other, and they had a ladder, and at the top of the ladder was bananas. But every time they would try to get the banana, they would be shocked, right? They would shock the ladder, and but every day somebody would come up and they will hang a new set of bananas up there, and then again the monkeys would try to climb up and they would get shocked again. Well, it gets to the point where they would remove the ladder and the bananas would still be there, and they still would have a way to get up there without the ladder, but they wouldn't.
They knew.
They knew, right? And then for generations, right? It was like an iteration, like a couple of generations. The babies would see the bananas and they wouldn't go up there and climb it. And this happened for generations. Now, in the Bible, it says 7 generations. You to clear sin, right? It's the same thing. After 7 generations, a baby will finally get up there and climb it and take down a banana. And they've done this with like mice as well. Like there's a strawberry. And they would leave the strawberry in there, and then they would electrify the area where the strawberry is. And the same thing would happen. 7 years. It would be 7 generations. So a trait, right? Well, a physical action then becomes a generational trait. And I'm sitting here like, what?
Yeah, I believe it because growing up there would always be stories. Hey, you don't want to do this because there was always a story of when something similar happened to someone else, and the luck or the maybe the lack of luck or the outcomes. Like you don't want to do this because this happened to a neighbor of ours down the street, and you start sharing these stories, and you grow up with these stories that start to affect you and your mental health, and you start making and casting judgments similar to the monkey experiment. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be doing that because I remember growing up, dad or grandfather always told us don't do X, Y, or Z because whatever might happen to you. Then you start passing that on to your kids, and now you start hearing stories and you chuckle. It's like, yeah, that's a wives' tale. But similarly, you, you're absolutely correct. The Bible says 7 generations. Whether it is 7 generations each and every time, that's up for question. But I totally, totally get and I resonate with that because I hear things today that I now consider just wives' tales and folk tales. And but I grew up believing that harm would come to me if I did something because that's what was passed on. And mental health is no different. We're taught not to say anything because we'll be judged. Yet, a simple conversation is the best way to unleash and cleanse. Like, you just gotta be open to the idea that someone will listen and someone does want to help. And this is affecting, at some point, we would always associate this with some, you touched on it earlier, with someone who had served and was torn by what they had experienced when they were deployed. You shared the story of, you know, how you endured the hurricane, the storm. But today we're hearing stories of children, students, adolescents, you know, corporate, white collar, blue collar. This is something that has impacted everyone. And there's more, maybe not symptoms, but there's more circumstances in which this is creating this inflammation around mental health. Listen, I when I got divorced, I lost my house. Like, attorneys just cleaned me out, cleaned me dry, because I had to fight for custody for my daughter. I then had to get help for myself and to get my feet planted back. And then there's hope, and then we had the pandemic, and all of a sudden I'm locked in, can't reach out to anyone, can't physically meet someone face to face. And this just started to culminate. And it was one event after another. And then as the pandemic started to ease up and people started to get out, then this whole tech bubble came, and I kept being replaced. Got laid off 3 times. And you start thinking, was it something I did? Was it something I said? What could I have done differently? And it starts playing a toll on you. And you're just in a tailspin and you have no idea how you're going to get out of it. And you want to talk to someone about it, yet you don't know who to reach out to. You don't know if whether or not who you're reaching out to is safe. Because I've had circumstances, and I'm sure everyone has a story where you felt safe enough to reach out to someone and confide in someone, only to have one of two things happen. Either nothing became of it, or you became the topic of conversation for a circle of friends, and now everyone's kind of looking at you. Well, at least you're thinking that everyone's looking and judging and have something to say. It is, I'd say, one of the worst things to overcome because it gets in our heads, and we start, you know, playing around with the what ifs, and it's a bad place. It's a bad place to find yourself, and it's a bad place to get yourself out of, because some people will turn to alcohol, drugs, and other vices to kind of overcome, soothe the pain, mask the symptoms. And listen, I'm not a medical practitioner, but I've been there. I've maybe not as bad as what others may have to share, but it was bad enough for me, and I still have difficulties today trying to overcome some of what's happened.
I think, if you don't mind, I think there's a couple of things I want to go back to. You know, culture can be negative and it can be positive, right? The stigmas that come along with culture, and maybe the eras that we grew up in, those stigmas, right? The negative aspects of um, not engaging or not looking towards your mental health. Those things are definitely something that is something we need to overcome. But there are some things about culture that can help. I think that when I was looking back at my grandmother, right, and talking about World War II, and I was joking earlier, right, she survived all kinds of atrocities as a woman, and um, understanding those stories that she told me allowed me to think to myself, if she can do it, so can I. If she's able to share her story and it can inspire me, maybe I can do the same for myself and the ones I love, or the ones I care about. So the thing, those are the things that are really what we need to consider, right? The the negative aspects, but also the positive things, right? The things that can help get you through those tough times and through those challenging times that may be impacting your mental health. Those are the things that you can lean on. As a person who's indigenous and who's part of a diaspora, I lean on my culture to help me through tough times, right? My grandmother, her stories that she shared, my mom, the experiences that she shared with me, and that I shared together with her during her life and her passing. So, all of those things I think can be very helpful, knowing who we are, where we come from, and can really be something that we can lean on so that we can look forward to our future. So, though that, there's negatives and there are positives with regards to culture. The other thing that I think is important is storytelling as a way to help with your mental health. We don't realize the power of words until we kind of put it into this framework. We it's called spelling for a reason, and people chuckle and laugh, and it's maybe a dad joke, but really, if you use negative words constantly over and over again, then that's what you're going to continue to experience. So that's what is, I think, something that we need to also understand. The power of the words that we share, whether it be negative or positive, can impact ourselves and also the family and friends that we purport to care about.
That's awesome. We have backstage a friend of ours who's ringing the doorbell, wants to come in. Why don't we bring him on in? Bill, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jay. Hey, America. How are you?
Hey, Bill.
Fantastic.
I think that this is a very important topic. You guys know I don't just, first of all, you can look at me. You can tell I wasn't really planning on coming on stage anywhere. But, America, what you shared, and we've talked about this before, our stories are so aligned. And what happened in 2020, I think we're still suffering from it. And a lot of people don't understand that. The story about manning up and not showing emotion. I really want to say this to people out there. This is not a pity party. It really is us saying that it's okay to share your story, and your story can help somebody else. No. I was
No,
awful.
don't like that.
No, as far
All
away as
right.
possible.
All right.
Um,
There. Even
but
playing field. How's this?
there you go. Okay, we can do that. But I don't think people get it. I really don't think that they get how much men hold on to and how much we don't express how we're feeling in the moment and what our struggles are.
And why do you think that happens? Do you think it's cultural, as I may have alluded to? You think it's maybe not cultural? It's just the way we're raised, regardless of culture. It's the way we're programmed
So
to think.
we're three different cultures, I believe. So I'm black, and Jay is
Pacific.
Guamalian. He's
I'm
from
Pacific
Guam,
Islander from Guam.
Pacific Islander from Guam.
And I'm an Atlantic Islander from Portugal.
Okay, okay. Um, I, I I can say I believe. Hmm, how do you say this right? I believe that there is a stricter guideline uh, with minorities. That's just my personal thing. I know that in the black community, therapy was not something that you pushed a lot, and saying how you felt wasn't really something that you did. You had to man up. You had to go push the car. You had to go build the wall if there was no wall there. Um, but I've only lived in my life, so I can't say if it's a cultural thing or not. I can just say where it comes from in my culture. Um, but bottling those feelings up, feeling less than, not being able to share it. I stopped drinking in October because I was drunk for 4 days straight, and I was going live every Sunday, just happy as a lark, and no one knew because it was so natural for me to come on and show how powerful and how I was just handling this horrific portion of my life. I'm so sorry. I'm flashing the entire world. Um, but inside, I was dying. I wasn't wanting to get up. And the only thing that really got me up was doing the podcast. It was something I had to be held accountable for. And I had to recognize how important the platform was, not out of the number of people that followed me. It was important because I had to be accountable and I had no job to go to. So if I don't have a job to go to and I start drinking on Friday, there is no Monday. And you take it back and you recognize that that's how I've dealt with not having when I've been under financial pressure. I'm good every other time, but it's when I don't know where I'm going to live tomorrow, which I think is a pretty fair reason to have a spin out. you know,
Absolutely.
it that's my Achilles heel.
Let
And
me
good.
let me ask you, because I often will tune in, listen, participate to your conversations, and I've seen the evolution. I've seen how you, rightfully so, and I applaud you for using this as an outlet to share your story, to share and build your legacy, regardless of what that legacy may look like. So kudos to you for stepping up. Kudos for you for joining us today and sharing a little bit about your narrative and your struggles, because we need to do more of this. Now, sure, live streaming brings people together. And in fact, I gotta say, in all honesty and in full transparency, I've probably learned more from individuals who are now friends, but were complete strangers at a global level,
Me too.
who have taught me and have supported me and have lifted me up more than family friends who are within arm's reach.
Me too.
Right, and that in itself has created an opportunity for me to say, here's a real life example. It may not be business related, but here's the power of bringing your voice to the stage. Here's the power regardless of what your thoughts might be, that, hey, no one's going to show up, no one's listening. Who really wants to hear my sob story? This isn't a pity party. This is an outlet where people can be heard, they can be listened to, they can be trusted,
Right.
right? And there's no better way, in my humble opinion, to reach an audience as big as a global audience. And we're going to learn from each other. We're going to be able to support each other. And we lost Jay there for a minute, so let's.
It's whenever I come on, people normally run away. But you know, it's interesting because I also had to recognize, you know, sometimes when I would become prickly, I like to call myself prickly sometimes. Um, it was really because someone was stepping on me in a time where I needed to build myself up as much as I could, and people don't recognize in the back that it's not me being rude; it's me guarding myself.
Now we're
When
getting we're
good,
getting some wonderful comments from Lachelle. So Lachelle, and sorry because I think I interrupted you there for a moment. We'll
go
let you
ahead.
finish your thoughts. But Lachelle has reminded us that the month of July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So uh, we're at the start of the month, so I'm sure we can do a lot to support our friends in the minority communities, both
You know,
visible and non-visible minorities.
I'm doing a chapter in. I'm old and my mind goes blank. I'm doing a chapter in the Legacy Chronicles for men, money, and mental health with Nick,
Hmm.
and I decided to do that because it is, as I just said, my Achilles heel. When the funds are not coming in, I didn't know how to define myself, and then I had to find value in me outside of a dollar or outside of a title. And I, at, at one point, I really wanted, because it's coming out in September, I really wanted to push it for this this month. So when it was Minority Mental Health Awareness Month or Black Mental Awareness Month, it's just because our community does not embrace that as much as I would like them to. I'm not saying as much as they should, because we all do the best that we know how to do.
Right.
But
And what's the saying? You don't know what you don't know. Some
right,
people don't know that it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to share that vulnerability with others who
yeah,
surprisingly will share with you as they let down their guards and bring down their barriers. Like, oh my goodness, I thought I was the only one suffering. I thought
yeah,
I was the only one, and I was afraid to bring it up. I was afraid to talk about it and socialize it because I thought I would be judged and fingers would be pointed. It turns out there's a whole community of us suffering and needing each other's support. And yet here we are zipping it
zip it up.
and right.
I went to therapy today. Yay me! And my therapist said it is not unreasonable for you to be processing things the way that you're doing it. And that was the first time someone's ever said what you're experiencing is valid. Because every month, as a man, we're supposed to be able to support, right? We're supposed to be the ones that go out and provide it. And I'm a single. My kids are 34. I'm single by myself with the dog, you know, and I'm don't know how to, you know, I don't have any way of getting sometimes the basics, electricity, my phone bill, and you know, this comes from someone who's owned its own company to let me call for support.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
I'm I'm saying that because I want people to understand that no matter where we're at in life, we're all human. No matter how much money you make or you don't make, you have to find your value in who you are internally, not who you represent externally. And once you do that, which I am still working on, America, I'm not out here preaching. I do Williams wind down so I can get out of my own head every night. Um, but once you start recognizing that, you can deal with it, and that's what Lachelle just put in the comments. The spiral often begins when the title disappears. Your friends also disappear. When you're picking up tabs and you're paying for everything and you can promote people and give raises, everyone huddles around you, and then all of a sudden,
oh,
it,
oh, don't even open up that Pandora's box because
it changes. And you thought those people we were like family
yeah, and so
until you're not the one writing the checks.
yeah, you think you have a circle of friends because they're telling you everything that you want to hear, and this is what causes us to judge and causes us not to want to speak up because people are saying, "Hey, whenever you're in any sort of a bind, you let me know. You've helped me out. Know that I am, indebted to you. When you
And
need
then
something, you reach out, and I have reached out throughout those layoffs, and you either hear crickets. Oh man, it's a really bad time for everyone. Sorry, you're hard on your luck. I got nothing. But the moment, and I stopped posting milestones and celebrations because the moment something good happens, they they come back and they want to be part of that. It's like, oh man, had I known I had something lined up, you were in the back of my mind and you were going to be the first person that I was going to reach out to. It's like, all right, I'd love to say a few kind words, but I'd probably get pulled
kicked
by
off the shot.
kicked off by YouTube and
Right.
LinkedIn. But there are some choice words for those people.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's life, and I get reminded by my spouse who says, "Hey, where are those friends now? You poured your hard-earned sweat, your equity. You've probably turned your back on your family a handful of times. Drop what you were doing to go help someone else, and now there's no one there for you." So
It's a
it's a
hard pill to
slippery slope,
swallow.
right? It's a
Yeah.
hard pill to swallow. It's a hard thing to find balance because here we are saying we need to talk about men's mental health or mental health in general, but we know because we have the scars that you know we earned whether we wanted them or not. We got the scars
You said
that
it right.
right that remind us like, yeah, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again. I got burnt. I got bit hard. So I'm just going to suck this up and no one's going to know any different. But there we are suffering once again. And
I have a question
it's,
for you.
yeah.
How do you take yourself out of the picture when someone else is going through something?
How do I take myself out of the picture?
Meaning, meaning, go ahead. Answer the
No,
question
no.
as you thought I said it. Answer the question as you thought as you heard it, and then I'll I'll say it.
Yeah. I, I'm told very often that I come across as being cold. And part of that is is going to answer the question. I try not to let things that I can't control come between myself and someone else. If I feel that I can influence and be a part of a support system mechanism, I will reach out. But I'm not going to pester someone. It's like, hey, let me help you, let me help you, let me help you. So, but I will quickly just walk away because I don't want it to be an anchor and feel bad myself for not being able to do enough. So sometimes it's cold, and sometimes it's really about knowing how to separate. And I'll never erase this. Someone Someone reminded me years ago, it's like you gotta let that stuff stop renting space in your head. And I try my hardest to let that happen. Some nights it works and I have a good night's sleep. Other nights, like, stuff keeps me up at night, and you can't stop but think about it. What you could have done different, what you could have done more or less of to have changed or influenced the outcome of what's happening between someone that you care for and or love. But there's no good answer, and I know Grace, who loves me to death, but she hates me when I just blow things off because I have made that decision. It's like, hey, I can't influence, I can't help, and I can't let it bother me. And it just, I unplug from it.
Got it.
Hope
Good
that
answer.
answered your question. It was a little ambiguous, but
No, no,
now
no.
finish your thought and how you wanted to articulate it, and it might change the outcome and how I answer it.
Well, there was a point where here's what I don't understand. So you and I both admit where we're at this stage of our lives, and we're pushing through. And I'm kind of surprised that I have such a decent network, but I still haven't gotten a job offer. It shocks me. And I tell people every day, and I know someone has to know somebody to know somebody.
Hmm.
Um, and so I have to disconnect from two things. I have to remember to be happy
Absolutely.
when someone else rises, and stop the why did they get something so fast and I didn't get anything and I haven't gotten anything. And the other thing is when someone does something and they like they drop something like a book or something, and I can't afford to buy a book, I can't afford to buy food, so I feel bad, so I'll write about it and I'll put everything out there. But I've had some people say, well, you've never bought my stuff, or you've never, because I can't. And I don't want to say that. It doesn't feel good to say that, but I do what I can. So I think the question was twofold. It's like, you we don't have, I can't speak for you. I don't have the money I literally have a $2 in my wallet right now and no bank account. $2. And something will come through like it always does, right? But and I have food in the refrigerator and my lights are on and I have internet. But I feel as if, and this is a feeling, that so many people support our shows and support us by showing up. And I try my best to show up to most things, but we can't be everywhere every day. And I can't buy anybody stuff right now. So when someone is in need and they say, hey, can you help this person? I can do these things. I can sponsor I can host your show or let you use my StreamYard or all these other things. I can write an article to go out to my 34,000 members or followers, right? I can highlight you and ask you to come on the show. But I don't have the money to buy the book. Oh, by the way, I have a book out, but that's a whole different story. But I mean, I don't have the money to buy it, my
Yeah.
own, let alone everybody else's. So how do you support people during this time?
So here's I'm going to take a step back and try to remind ourselves, those people who at one point were part of a circle that we associated ourselves with and wanted to help, and they gave us all the right lip service. Those are the same people, and not everyone. We're not going to paint everyone with the same brush, but those are the same people who I would maybe suggest are showboating. Hey, look at me, I got this. And we start thinking, it's like, well, I've been sitting around waiting for this to happen to me, and this person just out of the blue has it drop on their lap. Don't believe everything that you hear, read, or listen to. First and foremost, because those same people who lied to you when they said they would help you are the same people who very likely will lie to you just to make themselves look extravagant.
Okay.
And I'm not going to point fingers at any one individual,
Mm-mm.
but there is a culture. LinkedIn is notorious for it. All these coaches who have all these promising
Mm.
programs and do this and buy my program, and you will be sipping the finest champagnes on the finest yachts if you put out content like I do. And then everyone spends all this money and they don't see the traction.
Right.
Some do, some don't, some buy into the program. But we all know that a lot of that is just lip service. Same thing happens at a smaller scale. It happens at every range. And I've seen people, and I just bite my lip. I'm not going to call them out. Hey, if that's the life you want to live, if that's the narrative that you want to show, by all means.
Right.
I tell guests when they come on, it's like, do you need anything from me? It's like, no, I don't want anything from you. I am going to do my own research. I am going to run a browser search and an AI search, and I'm going to ask, what is William Rochelle, as an example, best known for? And I will build a show and a narrative based on what you're best known for. So this is going to be a conversation around how you want others to recognize and know you. So if you're putting out garbage and if you're lying, and that's the research I come back with, you better let me know now,
Right.
because I don't like
That's
making
gonna
people feel like fools, and I don't want
on
to
the
put you
show.
on the spot, right?
What
I'm
happened to
here.
Jay?
I don't know what happened to Jay. I know he did mention he had his grandkids running around, and who knows,
Okay.
maybe they tripped a
Oh,
cord
wire.
somewhere. But yeah, so going back to your original question, are people successful? Perhaps. Are we partially to blame? Perhaps. You can't just sit back, cross your arms, and have hope as your only strategy. You got to create opportunity, and sometimes you got to step outside your comfort zone, and you've done that, right? And sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone may not be someone else's cup of tea, and here we are, kind of living this
Right.
vicious cycle. It's like, oh man, he's really vulnerable. I'd love to help him out, but he's a hot mess. I've been
I
there.
am not a hot mess.
I listen. I'm saying that because I've been a hot mess, and I've had people say, "Ugh, maybe
You
now's
know, I'm not. But you know what? I've been doing this for a year,
yeah,
and that year has been a journey, and the journey has been a learning experience.
absolutely,
You know, and we all
absolutely."
evolve. We're not at the same place we were a year ago.
I'm going to digress and apologize for calling you a hot mess. It's,
Thank you.
but that's the reality, because that's a response I've been given. It's like, hey, it seems like you're juggling
Too much.
too much. It seems like your plate is full. How about you get your life sorted out and come back to us? Like, oh,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
It's like,
I'm sober. That's great. Um, I and I would love if you're still doing hosting guests. I am doing a tour.
a book tour.
I
Book
don't
tour.
want to say it, yeah,
Why
but
not? I'll say it.
okay, yeah. So I've never, I haven't really figured out because I just did it. I wanted something to show for the last year of my life, and so I just released volume 1 and volume 2 on my birthday, and no one knew I was doing it. I was, I have a bunch of stuff that I'm actually doing right now, but I don't want to talk about it. I'd rather be a guest and have someone ask me about it because it kind of feels weird, me just bringing it up. So I'd love to be on your show one day
All
as a
right,
guest.
let's make it happen. Let's why don't you set the stage now. We're at the top of the hour.
Okay.
And why don't you set the stage? Tell us a little bit about your book, and we'll bring you back as a guest, and we will talk about your journey, putting that book together, writing it, what the experience is like. And
It's a nonfiction.
It's an okay.
It's a nonfiction book. It is called The Boogeyman Was Manufactured. And really what it's saying is that when we were children, we were all afraid of the boogeyman.
Unknown caller.
It's the boogeyman.
yeah, probably a collection agency. And then we discovered that it really was a coat in the closet, or our towel that fell off the side of the bed. It really wasn't a real boogeyman. But there are certain things that we were told, that we were taught, that we never outgrew. And it shapes how we see people. And the book is a trilogy. So volume 1 and volume 2 are, volume 1's out, volume 2 will be released August 18th. And volume 3 I'm still finishing up. But volume 3 is the healing journey. Volume 1 is the foundation. Volume 2 hits you really, really hard, because we should have learned from volume 1, but we didn't.
Sorry,
it's a good book.
If I appear to be distracted, I'm trying to get Lachelle the link to join us on stage. It was a year ago, maybe not today to the day, but a year ago around this time, I had Lachelle on as a guest, and she talked about her struggles with depression, and be great to have her on stage. She's been contributing some fantastic comments, and love to hear her thoughts. So if you're still there, Lachelle, I sent you the link, and there she is. All right, do we give her a doorbell, or do we give her another sound effect?
Give her the doorbell.
Give her the doorbell. Hey.
Or drum roll, since you've already announced her.
All right. And now coming up, joining us on stage, the one and only America's Supermom, Lachelle. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me on. So good to hear this conversation. I tell you, it's been very impactful, resonate with a lot of what you guys have shared. I love the question around, I forgot how you put it, Bill, the question that you asked America around, repeat the question again, because it really got me.
I asked so many questions.
But it was something like, how did you...
Lachelle, your television is really kind of loud.
Okay, I'm going to move to a different area. Hold on.
Just a little, it's not horrible. I'm just, Can you hear it, America?
Oh, yes, I could hear it. Felt like I was there.
That's one thing about me. I just tell the truth. I say what's on my mind. And people get mad, but it's like, at least you know where I stand. She is just walking, and her what's wonderful is her background is staying with her. I need that background.
Okay, I was in the room with my kids. So how's this? Can you guys hear better now?
Way better.
Way better.
Yeah, you don't look, when you have headphones on, you're not even aware of what is going on in the background, right?
Right.
But it was the question around something like protecting yourself when you're dealing with other people, or something like that. I'm kind of paraphrasing. But much of what you guys share, just now we
your turn, William.
Go. But what much of what you're sharing, it just reminds me about there's somewhat of a cycle around vulnerability on social media platforms where we go through a period of really being open with a lot of our journey, but not everybody who is on that journey with us is at the same desire around self development or healing and things like that. So one of the things I learned early on with these platforms is that there is this connection emotionally around trauma or pain or something like that. And I liken it to there's some people who will open someone up on an operating table and then just leave them there. Whereas there's other people who will be mindful of, oh my gosh, this is a safe space. We want to make sure whatever we open up, we close up, but not everybody is that way because it's so emotionally driven around trauma that not everybody knows how to handle that or is in a place to be able to handle it. And so everybody who looks to be a doctor is actually not a doctor, you know.
I believe you. I
Yeah,
believe you. One of the things, can I add to that?
absolutely.
So one of the things that I've had to deal with, and this is a people, when things go on in your life, it's a you problem. It's not a they problem. It's a you problem. So I had to be cautious about becoming friendly with people too quick because everybody's not your friend. And just because you're friendly doesn't mean that you are friends. And I have a emotional trauma, which is that when people do me wrong, they never apologize for it. No one's ever apologized.
I apologize. I called you a hot mess not too long ago.
You did just now, but no one apologizes. And then what the world sees, which America knows, is my response. But no one knows what facilitated that response. It doesn't come out just because I'm a dick, or I'm sorry, or I'm a jerk. It comes out because you did something to me, and that it was wrong, and I felt disrespected, and 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 I'm sorry. Could have fixed that, but it didn't happen. And I'm the first person to say to someone, "I'm sorry. How can I help you?" You know, and that is something that I hold on very, very tight to, and I have walls built around
So,
because. Go ahead.
so how do we create a space, whether safe or let's see if that was Jay who came. Yeah, Jay's back in.
Uh-oh.
All right, Jay, you're back.
Yeah, sorry for whatever reason my laptop and Restream didn't get along. I was trying
I
to get
thought
back in this whole time.
I thought it was me, Jay. I was so upset.
No, Bill, stop.
So, how do we create a space where people feel comfortable enough to be open to talk, be willing enough to be vulnerable, and not create this cocktail of emotions where people are being judged from one angle? Listen, this is not something we're going to solve today, but I know that there are people who are struggling at home. There are people who are struggling at work. Some are struggling at school. Some might even be struggling down the street at the local barber shop, the gym, our churches, our places of worship. Yeah, no
Everywhere.
one, they're suffering everywhere, but they feel like have felt that I reach out for help, when I was working, if I were to reach out, as I mentioned earlier, if I were to reach out to an EAP program, one of two things would happen. I felt that I was going to be judged and I would be restricted from moving forward and progressing within the organization. But at the same time, my organization would probably just look at this as an incident. Hey, we're going to cover our rears. We're going to offer this support. And should something happen, then we can cover our tracks. Hey, we reached out, we offered support for, in my lens. And maybe there's someone who's going to try to convince me otherwise. But some of the support we get is to mitigate against finger pointing, liability, and culpability.
Absolutely. And I will repeat this again. I'm always the first to apologize if I've done something wrong. Always. But I think if you've been burned a million times, you know not to go put your hand in the fire again. You just don't do it. So that is what I was talking to my therapist about today. And it doesn't have to do with any one person, right? It has to do with if someone wrongs me, that door is closed. It is closed. It is locked. All the windows are put up. I put the gates on, the hurricane windows. It's like, no, I'm not dealing with that because I have too much going on right now. You know, I am a CEO, COO that just had to call the food bank to figure out how I'm getting food because I haven't worked in 2 years. So anything that ain't gonna work, that doesn't serve me, it needs to go sit someplace else. There are people that have been in my life for, like, let's say a year, right? And we might have had a falling out. I'll go try to figure out how I'm gonna fix that. But you know, I'm not gonna go chasing after every single person because that would be a waste of my energy. Lachelle, you sitting up there like this.
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
Well, I love what you guys are sharing because, this is the reality that a lot of us struggle with on our own journey. And one of the things that I've learned with public platforms is understanding myself before I can understand other people. I went through this whole 13-year journey with depression and 3 hospitalizations. And a lot of it was me feeling like I had to be perfect in every scenario. I had to be the best officer's wife, the best pastor's wife, the best PTO mom, and all this stuff. And, I was an only child. So the expectations for myself were just crazy, and having a large family and trying to navigate through that was really a powerful, impactful experience, because everything I grew up believing was going to take place, it just was out the window. I didn't have a plan B. I just had this vision: I'm going to be a corporate attorney, I'm doing what I got to do, so this is just how it is. So the fact that I'm a stay-home mom and not getting any praise or recognition, when that's really what my whole academic career was about. I had to learn.
You're a stay-at-home mom of 15
15.
kids.
Yeah.
That's more than a stay-at-home mom. That's a
Isn't it
teacher.
crazy?
That's a COO. That's a sergeant at arms. I mean, that's a school bus driver.
It's just an extreme. Okay. And so I feel like I had to learn how to value myself outside of all these things that I felt validated me. And once I was clear around forgiving myself and not being ashamed or having guilt about my story, then that's when I began to really be free to see other people. See, before it was hard to see other people because I felt like I had to protect myself all the time. I had to watch my back. I had to watch my front, watch my side, because there couldn't be any flaws that other people could see. Whereas when I learned to embrace the good, bad, and ugly about myself, it's like, okay, it is what it is, and I began to see that other people were like me, just in different ways. It came out different ways. And so I think, part of being able to be on these platforms is it's therapy. I love being on lives and having conversations like this because I see myself and I'm just like, oh my gosh, do you feel like this? Do you feel like that? It's like for years, this stuff was bottled up. And so I could talk about it for hours, but we have to know how to actively listen to what people are not saying so that we can determine that it's a safe space, even if people say it is.
Yep, I agree with that.
Amen.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Lachelle, you mentioned something moments ago that may contradict what Bill said just prior to that. I heard the word forgiveness, where Bill, you said, once you've done me wrong, shame on you, you're done.
No, that you're wrong about that. Hold on, Lachelle. I'll let you answer. I promise. I can forgive somebody, but not follow them. I can forgive somebody and not have them in my circle. That's two different things. It's
Okay,
two different
because
things.
my question is, or was going to be, is forgiveness part of the healing? Do we need to be able to
Forgiveness is always a part of the
forgive
healing.
ourselves, forgive
Amen.
others? Right?
Yep. Forgiveness is for you. So
Yeah.
I have forgiven myself for the wrongs that I've done. I've apologized to people publicly, except for one, your friend. And I'm just holding on to that just because it's fun. Um, I've let it go like a long time ago, right? It's no longer a big deal. Um, but I forgive people, but that old saying, burn me once, shame on you, burn me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
And there's the only person that I think bothers me is Mike LeBlanc, because Mike LeBlanc and I were really good friends for like a year. And then we had a misunderstanding, and that misunderstanding turned ugly. But I still love him as a person, and that's all I have to say about it. It was a misunderstanding, and I may have taken things a little bit too far because that's what I do. My nature. I'm either hot or cold, Lachelle. I love you or I hate you. It's just how we have different DNAs. Mine is I don't really usually have a middle ground.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, corporately, I do. But that I would feel sorry about. But if I only met you on one show, or I've known you for a week or two, mm-mm. It's not worth my energy. But I can forgive and move on.
All right. Speaking of moving on, well, Jay, who we thought had moved on, is now sitting in complete darkness with no emoji, no talking head. He's sitting on mute. Jay, if you are there and you'd like to be part of the conversation and add your thoughts, your insights, and your sentiment, feel free. Come off mute. There we are.
Yeah, I think so. There's a Pacific Islander. Well, actually, it's Hawaiian. It's the Ho'oponopono. Right?
Mhm.
It's this practice that a lot of people from Hawaii and people outside of Hawaii learned this. It's saying four things: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And this could be for someone, but really it's for yourself, right? And what has happened as a result of science studying this, really, it transformed a whole group of people who did have mental health issues. And it's documented. And it's the intention, right? We were talking earlier on about mindfulness. And I think mindfulness, what goes hand in hand with that is intention, right? Once you understand things, the ways to heal yourself, the ways in which you journey through life, this should be really the core. I'm sorry, right? Saying sorry could mean sorry to your fellow man, or it could be I'm sorry to yourself. I'm sorry that you shouldered all this burden for so long. And then please forgive me. Please forgive me to those who may need my forgiveness, and those who may, for me, I may need to forgive as well. Thank you. Thank you to just having gratitude, right? And of course, love. I love you. So these are the things that it could be a mantra. It could be, whatever it is you want it to be. But all of these things, I think, are at the core of the human experience. And if not, then the opposite would be just evil, uncaring, all of those things, the negativity. But if you continue to have this and say it and believe it, it should help guide you.
Fantastic. I didn't do a time check. Mentioned we were at the top of the hour, and I always like to respect everyone's time. And but we're having such a wonderful conversation. I like the fact that both our guests felt comfortable enough to join us. I want to thank Bill as well as Lachelle for joining us here on stage. Uh, what was the question being asked here? Give me a second.
My keyboard is too far away for me to type.
All right. So,
It is. It's over here. I have my mic and then my laptop's over there.
so listen, Lachelle, if you can help Bill, and if Bill can answer that question, and you can introduce someone, I know I introduced Karen, and I believe you had a conversation with her yesterday.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it was awesome. Thank you so much.
I think the two of you hang out in similar space, and uh, if I've
Lachelle
become,
doesn't come to any of my shows, and I host 6 a day.
should we
You,
remind you, Michelle? I don't know how Lachelle manages and juggles everything that she
The
does.
15
Both,
kids
oh,
it's
and
the
true.
50,
work.
put the 15 kids, put the family aside. Just everything that she handles on and off studio is like, I bow
You know
down to you.
what? I would say I'm on the other side of this. Um, I love doing lives and being with people live, but I've learned and gotten burned with a lot of things that I now have to have a harmony about it. So there are certain audiences that have been curated. America, I mean, we cross paths in so many different places that, when I see that they're on, it's like, okay, this is a good conversation. And I know that it's been a safe space. I've known him for some time, never met in person yet, but we have talked on a lot of different conversations around helping other people, and I feel that it's genuine. I think a lot of it too is building relationships off camera. For myself, I am the person that's in the DMs. I'm making those introductions, and a lot of the things that I do, it doesn't really have a spotlight with it. I'll get on a live with them, and it'll be somebody that I've had in my network for a while, and nobody will know, because it's not always, I just don't seek the validation from other people because I don't know who's real and who's fake a lot
Right.
of times. So I don't
Yeah.
even waste my energy. Like what you're saying, I don't even waste my energy. I'm somebody who is in the DMs organically building, my network and community. So that's just kind of how it happens for me. So I do spend a lot of time supporting people, but there's so much that you give in value when you do a live that people don't reciprocate it. I'm just being real about that. So,
That's true. Um,
Lachelle and I are different because I don't meet my guests until they come on my show. We don't even have one conversation.
oh yeah, but I'm
Um,
the same way. I'm the same
like
way. Don't
none,
meet
no,
anybody.
no.
Yeah.
And I like it because it makes the initial conversation like you and I are having right now. It
Mm-hmm.
makes it more real because I want to.
Right.
I'm like really because if I have a pre-conversation with you, then I've already asked you all the all the questions that I had, right? Um,
no,
but
not necessarily. I meet each of my guests before we go live. I tell them when they ask, "Are there questions? Is there a format?" It's like, no, I just wanted to meet you and let you know what I'm going to do for you. We are
okay,
going to
Mm.
leave the questions to the side. You're going to leave that up to me. We're going to have a conversation because I don't want what we're going to bring on the live stage to feel rehearsed, to feel transactional, to feel mechanical. I want us to have a conversation. But I felt that it's important enough to jump on a call prior so that you can remove or relinquish any anxiety because there's no pressure here. I don't
I
want you to
do that same thing
right.
during a text.
I don't want you to rehearse. I don't want to hear the paper rustling while you're reading through your answers.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what ends up happening to me? My worst shows are when I have something scripted out.
It's true.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
can't do it.
Well,
So
you can't be present when you do that. See,
yeah,
that's the
you're
difference.
reading and you're like, okay, I didn't get to that
Yeah.
question. And it
That's
sounds
right.
so like, so Lachelle, how do you meet and greet on Mondays at 11:30? You know,
This
it's
is
like,
old too, by the way. I need to take this off here. People are like, oh my gosh, when is
what is
that?
that? What is it?
I have a monthly networking call, which I just had on Wednesday. It's not even on Mondays, it's on Wednesdays. Okay. See, look, I'm like you. You seeing me in my element. Okay. I wasn't
Yeah,
planning on coming on, but it
yeah.
is
It's a,
what it is.
these are the conversations I like.
Hey, these are
You
real
caught me with my
conversations.
hair down. You caught me with my hair down.
I'm wearing. I told I told Americo because Americo, I don't know, that's my guy. He doesn't
Uh-huh.
understand it, but
Mhm.
I have a love for him. He doesn't get it. Um, I'm always like, hey, Americo, what you doing? But I saw him talking, and Jay as well. Jay's a great storyteller. I can listen to him all day.
Yes, Jay's great.
Um, and I'm like, I got to come up because the topic of men and mental health is so important to me, and
Amen.
I'm not embarrassed about anything.
Hmm.
Um, that's why I feel like I'm a safe space because I put everything out there. I just told you
Yeah.
guys I just came back from therapy today.
Amen.
Like I
Look,
needed it.
look, share your notes, okay?
Yeah,
Because we all need it, okay?
because we're you know if anyone thinks that these times that we're in right now are normal, God
Right.
bless you,
Something's wrong.
because
Something's wrong.
they're not. Um, and I'm not worried about my chest. I had cancer, and so
Oh, I'm sorry to
I had a
hear.
big lump removed, and
Oh, I
so
had no idea.
yeah, so it's like a big deep divot. So
So
that's why I
you're a
keep.
superhero. That's what I'm saying,
I
hearing. Okay.
am. See,
Amen. You know
you
what I'm
don't never
saying?
know what nobody's gone through.
I'm
Um,
just saying.
but yeah, so I wasn't planning on coming up either. It's because of him. So, see, you done pissed off Jay again.
Listen, I love these. I love the fact that if anything, whether people are going to now listen to the replay, read the Substack article, we're going to repurpose this to try to get as much reach and visibility. And if nothing comes out of it, I know that we have at least
Laughter.
impacted our two guests who came and were part of the conversation. And
So you use your transcript to write articles?
I use my transcripts to pick out the themes and the talking points that will find its way to
Can you
articles.
hold for just 1 second, America?
Yeah.
My name is William Rochelle. I just launched a book called The Boogeyman Was Manufactured.
I love it. I love it.
It is on sale right now on Amazon.
You beat
Don't
me.
take me with
I
a
don't
good
even.
time. You talking
I
about
don't even-
reach?
I don't even have my book up here to show. So see, you beat me out. But for those who need to start journaling about their life and reflecting and hearing their own voice, then you might want to purchase my book. Do you want to be whole? 7 Steps to Living Mass Free. So
All right. Here's what
Now,
I'm
hold
going
on
to.
now. We can't have
Well,
competing books.
Hold
So,
on a second. There's
I
there's room for everyone. There is room for everyone.
yeah, there's room for everybody. Because some people may not resonate with my book, but they want to hear about the boogeyman. Okay.
I'll tell you off screen what the boogeyman's about. And I think it's sad that I don't want to tell you what the boogeyman's about on screen. That's what's
Why?
so bad.
Well, that would defeat the purpose. It's like watching the trailer and not watching the movie.
I'm going to do a
listen.
movie too. It's
I think that's
it's a
important.
3-part book.
Yeah, I love that.
And the third one again is healing.
Okay, so
Healing.
this is the thing. Look, I'm learning this. As an author, you want to refer back to your book. What is one thing that you want to share so people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't get to finish that conversation, but let me get that book. So what is that from your book?
That he was manufactured.
Oh.
That everything that you've been told about the boogeyman, whoever the boogeyman might be in your mind, there was a reason for it. And there are things that we say every day and thoughts that we have every day.
Man, I love this conversation. So is it safe to say, this is my interpretation, the
Mhm.
boogeyman is essentially a manufactured guardrail to keep you or keep us
Yes.
inside,
I love that.
right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
good.
Yes.
That's good.
Keep us in check.
And it's a passion project. And my life story is really, really, it's off the chain. And I'm going to write that when I don't need a job.
All right.
Look, it might be the job that you have, right? You
But-
might be having your own job. Seriously.
You know what, Lachelle? I have a bunch of things popping off this month. It was my birthday, and
Yeah.
I
When was
promised
your
myself
birthday?
Friday, last
Okay,
Friday.
well, happy belated birthday.
And that's when I launched the book. So I wanted to
What's
make sure
it like to be 21 again?
girl, I'm 35. Don't play with me.
Age is nothing but a number. Look, you're reinventing yourself. This is the
Yeah.
second go around.
My daughter's at 34, and they're like, "You 35?" I'm like, "Yep, I sure am." And if you say anything else about it, you on punishment.
All right. So closing question. Let's keep it as comedic or keep it as serious as you'd like. Your book, if it were to become a movie, who would be the leading actor? Who would you have play you?
Oh, in my book, my biography. Well,
Yeah.
the person that I look most like, The Rock.
Okay.
I mean, him and I got the same body, same bald head, same eyebrow. Don't mess with me.
Go.
Lachelle,
People-
I have I haven't authored a book, so I don't have an answer to that question. But some would say that I'm, you know,
You have
some
a
days
course, right? You have a
I have a
course.
course,
What you're
but
doing is a course.
yes, let's go with that. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't ruled out writing something yet, because I'm talking to all these authors, and there's just something that is telling me at some point you're going to carve out some time and write a book.
Mm-hmm.
But that time isn't right now. So your book, who would be the leading actor in your role as Lachelle Atkins?
I would probably say one of my kids, actually, one of my daughters. Because it's just amazing to be able to see them, see myself in them. So that's what I would say. Probably one of my daughters. Which one? I don't know. It depends on the day of the week. Because I have 9 of them. Okay. But
So are you close? Like, are all your kids close to you?
yeah, we have one that lives in California, one that lives in Indiana, but the rest of them live here locally in
But I'm
Georgia.
talking about like close, like emotionally close.
Oh yeah, all of them I'm close to. It's a
Good.
blessing. It wasn't like that when I was going through my depression,
Of course not.
because I had so many walls and I felt like they needed to be exactly like me, like a clone. So I couldn't, if they didn't have a good work ethic or whatever, or if they didn't like school like I did, I couldn't relate to them. Now I have, been able to see them with their own gifts, and it's helped me to be closer to them.
America has to pee, so he wants us to get off. He wants us to get off. He's like, these two need to shut up. It was nice meeting you, Lachelle.
It was nice meeting you. We have to connect. Seriously, I'll reach out to you in the DMs. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for making this as wonderful as it was. And I look forward to writing a piece about today's conversation. So look
And you're
forward
booking
to
me on the show. You're going to interview me, right?
we're going to
Yeah.
book you on the show on the story. Would you like this same show, the storytelling journey? We can talk about it. Or would you like a show of your own on one of my other
I want you to
branded?
interview me, like
Okay, I'll
specifically about
interview.
the book, like you're Trevor Noah, and you're like bringing me on.
All right,
Ladies
we're
I
going
and
to do
love
it.
it.
gentlemen, because I need to practice about going on the circuit and like talking about it.
Absolutely.
I just released
Well,
it.
I'll have you on my show too.
Look
So
at
I
that.
didn't think about it after I released it. I was like, okay,
yeah,
now what do I
that's
do?
how it is. We write the book and it's like, oh my gosh, it's done. But it's like, that's just the beginning.
That's just the
Because
beginning.
people don't know what this book is and where to find it. We just think we went through all
On
that everybody
Amazon.
has to know. Yeah. I love it. Put your link in the chat. Love it.
I don't. Lachelle, are you listening to what I'm saying to you? Goodbye, everybody.
All right, goodbye,
Bye.
everybody.
You've been carrying wisdom like a loaded page, years of miles, scars, lesson engraved. You did the work, you earned the view, but the numbers haven't followed you. You've got stories worth more than likes, vision sharper than a